us. Oh, I don't have much of a voice, but we'll see how we get on. You join us at the end of the first point of the Open final at Club Open and Women's Indoor Qualifiers here in Glasgow. Catty Whampus are playing the Brown first team in the final. The score that first point just finished is 1-0 to Catty Whampus. I don't know if it's Whampus, whatever. Now, someone tell Mike now. I haven't got enough hands. So, Eric throws up the line to Dan Pritchard. Gainer centres it immediately to Dylan. Good gainer in the final third now. Dylan in the middle of the pitch. Gives it to KK on the outside. KK looks upfield. Brown running. Okay, so he swings it across to Dylan. Dylan has a look. Decides not Dan, but then gives it across the pitch to Dan Sorensen. Sorensen looks up, straight up the line for Dylan Spears. Dylan Spears to climb and gather to make it 1-1. Nice. 1-1 there. If you're just joining us, score is 1-1. It is the final, the Open final of COWIQ 2024, with the Brown playing Catty Whampus, some sort of Edinburgh team. Right, so Dylan pulling here with also Fernley, Mo, Sam and Dan Renhard on the line. It's a good pull right out on the edge, but inside the end zone. He has a look for the ISO play. And decides that there's a switch of the ISO position. He's not loving his options there, but manages to get it to the centre. Good pressure from Brown straight away. Big hammer. There's people under that. It's always going to be a bit close. I think Mo there hitting Dan Renhard in the face, but everyone playing on. Dan Renhard with a tight match there. Mo Razak putting on a good force. Now Sam Dowell with John Simpson for Catty Whampus, giving a long throw to the end, but I'm afraid that's... And gives it to Dylan in the middle of the pitch, straight to Mo for a quick one. Sam Dowell makes a threat down the line, or across for a line shot, but it's not on, so Mo gives a floaty, easy little disc to Dan Renhard up the line to make it 2-1, 2-1 to the Brown. This is the scene over here. We've got, I don't know what this is. See, I didn't swear there. See, everyone know that? Yeah. But good support going on the sideline nonetheless. Lining up for the next point, fourth point of the game. We got Dylan Spears about to pull, KK, Dan Pritchard, Dan Sorensen and Eric. Floaty, but a little shorter disc than before from Dylan.
Come on, Dan. Yes, Dan.
Up the line there for KK to chase. He does manage to get it. Oh, fantastic bid from Eric. Millimetres away, but it's enough pressure on that the drop is made, so it's a turnover. Eric picks up for the Brown at the front of our end zone. Swings it to KK. KK looks up. He's got Dan Pritchard receiving the scuba over in the middle of the pitch with a blade straight back to KK at the front of their end zone. Great yards being made by the Brown. Great intensity. Resets it there to Dylan behind. Dylan has a look. Resets it back to KK. KK to Dan Pritchard. Sorensen dancing around in the end zone trying to get some space, but in the end it's a scuba to an open Dylan Spears to bring it down. Nice patience, waiting for the right shot. Dylan making his move at the right moment to get that separation and bringing it down for 3-1 to the Brown in this final of COWIQ 2024 Open Division. Right. I've currently got an ice pack to my arm, so I'll give you a minute to try and release that. Big there from KK, loops back to the front of their end zone. They don't brick it, they catch it, and they play straight away. Slightly in the corner, the Brown has been able to make that ISO not look very appealing, make it a difficult shot. They reset out. They're moving it side to side here, but not currently gaining any yards. Good pressure from KK, and then Mo moving across to mark his man more tightly. Will KK put a bid on here? He does, but they managed to bring it down and hold possession. The Brown deliberately making those ISO overheads hard so far, but sometimes, of course, they come off. They are made some distance here, Catty Whampus, for a goal at the front of the end zone. John Simpson scoring with the toe-in attack forward out of the end zone. Making it 3-2 to the Brown over Catty Whampus. Out of the way so I don't step on it. Right, lining up now for the 6th point. Catty Whampus pull. Receiving, we've got Eric catches, gives it to Dan Pritchard. Up the pitch we have Dan Sorensen, Mo and Fernley. Fernley, great run up the line, but that's going to be a tricky disc for him to bring down. Sure enough, it's taken out right there.
Get it back, get it back.
Comes in with that turnover. He puts it up the line. And then the hammer to the far side. That Dan Pritchard putting that strong pressure on in the mid, but the other ISO option came from the deep. Eric's man finding that space there for the overhead. Great pressure from the Brown, forces them to go backwards, but they do hold. There's a hammer here, and Dan Pritchard to receive. It's caught, but outside the end zone. And a little pop pass goal to number 24 there.
That's fine.
Brown putting on some really good defensive pressure, making it hard for them, but they have found a way through that time, and that brings it to 3-all.
We should have a cool down session.
So, receiving here we got Mo, KK, Sam Dowell, Eric Fitton, and Dylan Spears. 3-all in the final, with Catty Whampus, John Simpson of Catty Whampus preparing to pull.
Yeah, let's go, Brown.
Mo Fields
Good, John.
and resets to KK. Sam was open, but it was just a moment too late, I think. And KK there not spotting that was going to be cut out, so they do manage to get that inception. Tristan Millington picking up in the middle field for Catty Whampus. Tris swings it across to number 24, who then scubas across for a rockstar slide catch. There's that run up the line. They've managed to move it up the line there. They will want to reset it or swing all the way across, which they do.
Okay, boys, work hard, work hard, work hard. Force the time now! Force the time now, KK!
John Simpson back to Tristan Millington right at the back. Tris looks upfield. Sends it into that underspace, which has been open for them a couple of times at this point. And now looking towards the end zone. Dylan lets him move out of the end zone to receive it. And now there's lots of hammer looks going on. Finally, it's gone, and I think Mo will be disappointed not to have been tighter on that. It was threatened a number of times. Maybe some communication with the Brown might have helped a little bit. I'm exempt, right? If you're just joining us, it is now 4-3 to Catty Whampus after Brown went up 3-1 at the beginning of the game. It's the final of the Open Division. Big pull to be received by Dan Pritchard. Also got Eric back, Dylan, Fernley, and Dan Sorensen further up the field. It's Dan Sorensen that receives on the open side.
Around.
He has a look at his options.
All around.
Decides against Fernley, and now he's got to try and squeeze it away. It was close, and a stall out has been called. Just wait for the players to receive that information.
Stall out.
It's hard for me to tell. I think it probably was a stall out, but it was very close.
Don't you want to have a perspective as to whether it's possible? So I think I could go to about 11.
I think it was a fair count, an A. It's my view. It was close, but I think it was.
Yeah.
It's a turnover.
Let's go, Brian. Let's get this one back.
The commentator apologises for my non-partisan. If I was wrong, let me know in the chat. Maybe I was super wrong. But, you know, call him as I see him. Right, picked up here. He looks for that line shot. No, it's going to hammer across for that swing to the other side. A little bit sketchy, but safe hands, clap catch on it. That's swung now into the middle of the field. Catty Whampus moving it around at the back, looking for their opportunities. The Brown have been very good at closing down handlers today and really making it difficult to play in that 2 at the back and ISO. Really nice pick up there. Hard work going in from Catty Whampus, but they're only moving it around and resetting at the back, so the Brown will be pretty pleased with the pressure they're putting on. Eric forcing there. Dan Pritchard allows it to go open under, but a fast ping down goes for a goal, with Dylan always going to find it difficult to get on the right side of that, given the speed of the disc. So that makes it 5-3 to Catty Whampus.
I mean, that one.
Ooh. Let's forgive my voice. Oh, it comes and goes a bit. All right, lining up for the Brown to receive the pull. Mo, Eric, Dan Pritchard, KK, and Sam Dowell. And it is Mo that brings it down. Gives it to KK. KK, little break scuba to Eric Fitton on the sideline. Eric resets it centre to Mo and then gets it back in a power position, gives it straight up the line to Dan Pritchard, who manages to use his body to stay on the right side and immediately give that little quick break throw to Sam Dowell. Nice direct under straight passes get the Brown their first point in the last 3 to make it 5-4. So Mo is about to pull. He's joined by KK, Dylan, Dan Renhard, and Dan Sorensen. Looks long from Mo, but it could be good. No, it's beautiful. Just right. And they're at the back of the end zone.
1, 2.
A swing there. And they're still inside their end zone. They're looking for that ISO play, which goes out. KK's match getting it there on the line, always difficult to fight against. They're still, marking that 1-to-1 there. Up the open line there means that they have moved it up to near our end zone. And still there's not perhaps as much pressure on as the Brown have been showing in the recent points. Can they bring it back and get that disc back off them? No, that's very, very open on the sideline, I'm afraid. And they've managed to convert what I think the Brown will be disappointed by as a point on defence. But their defence so far has been strong. They just need to keep the pressure up. And that makes it 6-4 to Catty Whampus. So, Sam Dowell, Eric Fitton, Dan Pritchard, Mo, and Fernley receiving a very long pull, but it could be pretty good. No, it is just too long, 2 meters too long, and Mo bricks it. So setting up here with Mo in the center, Eric to his left, and it's a vert stack, and there is a call, I think a foul, a toe stepped on perhaps by Sam Dowell. He moves his feet a lot, and sometimes stuff gets in the way. In this case, it was the flesh of the opposition. So, injury call means a substitution, and John Simpson comes on to mark Sam Dowell in the centre. Mo gives it to Eric. Clears out. Brown stack formation quite loose there as they move more into the 1-4 that they've done previously. Having been running a 2-3 at the start of that point, it appeared, and I think Fernley and Dan Pritchard there, not quite the right communication with the handler, and the wrong cut was expected or something, and an unforced turn for the Brown. They won't be delighted with, but there is a big hammer there for Sam Dowell to bring down. No foul call. He is definitely a good catch right over him, through him, but difficult. John Simpson there catching for the goal. I'm afraid that makes it 7-4 to Catty Whampus. I believe so. There is only one Nationals place available from this competition, so this final does mean quite a lot They're fighting for that Nationals place. And taking up that fight now is Eric Fitton receiving the pull, giving it immediately to Dan Pritchard. Dan Pritchard on that open side. And the break side, sorry. Unfortunate slip from Eric. They just about managed to hold despite a great bid from Eric's mark. Eric looks at the pitch, not chuffed with the options, but he manages to get it to Dylan up the line. Dylan looks around. He ends up with a swing to Dan Sorensen, fairly central in the field. Back to Dylan after a circular cut. Dylan up the line to KK. KK in a lot of space. Dan Pritchard up the line. Really nice, good pace. And for a goal. There might be a call there. I have no idea what that call would be, unless it happened well earlier. I don't know what exactly has gone on there. Some sort of contact is being discussed, but it is not a call on the field. The goal is uncontested. So I'm not certain. There was perhaps while they were cutting or something, some sort of contact. So a little bit over-eager there with Dylan almost pulling, then not quite. But Mo, KK, Dan Sorensen and Dan Renhard playing this point. It's a good pull there. Really good pressure from Mo, makes it difficult for them. And it is put with a scuba into space. There is no one there at all. So KK picks up, centers it. Sorensen to Razak. Razak fakes the scuba, then looks around. He probably wants to reset it at this point, which he does. Deep to Sorensen.
Simo!
Sorensen swings back to KK. And KK with a big scuba to Dylan Spears. That scuba to Dylan has worked for them. 2 or 3 of their 5 points so far. Sorry, 6 points, correction. And that brings the score to 7-6. The Brown tightening that gap again from 3 points back to 1 point. So yeah, a close game and a lot to play for. This is for the Nationals spot. Dan Pritchard, Dylan Spears, who's going to pull. KK, Fernley and Sam Dowell are going to start this point for the Brown. More open space than they're accustomed to there, gains a few yards. Nonetheless on the sideline, so they look to reset it, which they do, into the middle. Very fast cut coming up to make some space, but when you hear fast cut, you think Sam Dowell will marked it out, and on the defense stopped it happening. Up the line, they've managed to put it up the line. There is a threat of an overhead here, though. Sam Dowell is working really hard to stay with his man. There's a reset. Who knows what's going to happen here? Okay, there's a stall out call. A stall out has been called. A contested stall, so that goes on the list of things that'll be fun to watch later on the stream. I don't know whether you can hear the count, but do comment if you could see what that was. They center it there and gain a few yards, pulling it back. They're running more or less a 3-2 right now, but they are quite fluid with that structure. And a big swing over. Sam there to give a bit of pressure on, but it was always going to be difficult for him to truly contest. And then KK beaten on that open throw up line. Difficult one. He's got to switch from the overhead threat to that fast down the line throw. And it comes off for Catty Whampus this time. 8-6. 8-6 to Catty Whampus. Anyone watching the call? Did you see that stall out? Did you have an opinion? Pop comment. I'd like to know. Right. So John Simpson pulls, and Eric's going to receive with Mo, Dylan Fernley, and Dan Sorensen also on the pitch. Eric swings it across to Dan Sorensen. Unfortunate there. He's put it in the ground. And it's a turnover. Catty Whampus pick up. They're right at their back. There is someone here in that space, but it's a big hammer for the end zone, and it is just too big. Mo looking threatening in that space, but ultimately it was just too long. Mo gives it to Fernley, sailing majestically through the air, and he puts it up the line to Mo, who scores, manages to jump and toe that in for a goal. That is the Browns' 7th goal, and keeping them within touching distance, 8-7. Will the Brown have to get that break back? So, for those who haven't been here since the beginning, the Brown went up a couple of points early on. I think something like 3-1 was the score at one point. And then Catty Whampus drew out a fair lead, going to something like 7-4. And now the Brown have tightened the gap up a little bit again. KK pulling, Eric chasing down. Dan marking that ISO space. They don't gain many yards from those. The Brown have been marking well. Eric doesn't manage to stop his man getting it up the line, and then it's jammed up the line again for Tristan Millington, Sandal's man, catch it for a goal with a nice knee slide, but he'll love that in the shorts. This game is 22 minutes in. It's a 30-minute timer, unless it's different for the final, but I don't believe it is. And receiving this point, where it is 9-7 to Catty Whampus, is Dan Pritchard on your left, Mo Razak, KK, Dylan Spears, and Fernley. Pritchard to Razak. Mo centres. Overhead to KK, but enough time to deal with it. Fernley brings it down in the centre. There's a bit of a lull in movement, but he does manage to get it out to Mo, right out on that sideline, who's probably want to put it up the line there to KK. There was a bit of miscommunication. Both Dan Pritchard and KK were threatening for that space, but it ended up neither of them taking it down. So it is a turnover. Remember that we are a break down, so we need to win a break back off Catty Whampus. And this is, at the moment, a turnover on a Brown offence point. Dylan putting in a threat at the back, but it's gone out the line. There is contact in the middle of the field, and the person with the disc stopped and pointed, but I don't think there is actually a call. So he puts it up the line, and it's gone very quiet in the building right all of a sudden, but we are playing on, and they've managed to put it up the line for that. The contact in the middle, incidental, I think, two players tripping over each other. Brief pause, but there was no stoppage. And the Brown will be frustrated to be 10-7 down in this final. Brown calling 10, they want to get on with the game, not surprising. 10-7, there's 24 minutes in. It's a good pull to Dan Pritchard at the back of the end zone. Eric. It's all a bit congested there compared with the handler play they've had normally. Dan Pritchard hammers it to Eric. He's got a lot to do to bring that down. He goes up high. He is lying on his stomach at the moment, and I think he's just taken a bit of a bash with that landing on the ground. Say looks like a winded man rather than seriously injured.
From the sideline.
No, that's being winded is horrible.
If he's really
it's horrible.
You're going to feel really bad. And it's on camera now.
I'll tell him to do a better impression of someone who's really injured. Is a foul that has been called here. There certainly was contact in the air. Hard to tell from over here where that lied. I'm sure though both teams will be keen also to get on with the game. There is not so long on the clock, about 5 minutes left on the clock. And this was Eric going up to receive what was always going to be quite tricky for him to get down with that close mark in the form of John Simpson there, who when trying to receive a long hammer from Dan Pritchard. So it's gone back to Pritchard there, obviously a contested foul. Stall is 3 coming in. Dan, don't think he was crossing himself, but it looked a bit like it. He gives the scuba over to Renhard, who gives it back across the field to Sorensen, who wants to hit that line. It was a good look. He was open. That fast backhand, I think, was on, but Dan's frustrated because it's the second up the line backhand, flat backhand that he's sent into the ground today, and that always hurts. Tristan Millington in the middle of the field for Catty Whampus. Great pressure from Dan Sorensen, obviously wants to win back some glory, but the Brown looking a bit spaced out there, a bit not quite as on it as they've been in previous games, and that will be a frustrating sight. 11-7 now to Catty Whampus. There was... Okay, the disc goes up. The Brown calling to get the game going again quickly. It's not surprising. Eric receives. First throw is to Mo. Fernley's on the open, but it goes back to Eric. Eric floating that disc straight up for Fernley, but it's always going to be contested. And sure enough, number 24 gets there first for that. Not really the ultimate that Brown have been playing in the other games I've seen, and that hammer is surely going to be open. It is indeed. The Brown just... Excuse my voice. Oh, it's changed again. Well, the Brown not being as clinical, as maybe intense, but with, you know, as we've seen them in previous games, where that driving intensity on defense, always hugging, being close, has really made it difficult for other teams, and I don't think they've reproduced that as well as they'd like in this final. Anyway, pull goes. KK receives, gives it to Mo. Sam is looking long, but Mo sends it across to KK. KK to Dan Pritchard. Football getting on the pitch. Unfortunately, that's like the 10th time today. So these kids are being frustrating. Some people, although they are just kids. Mo gets it there, and a little flick there for Dan Pritchard to convert. Well done. Well done. Doesn't matter. Anyway. The Brown to pull. It is 12-8. Score just getting updated there, and it's a 13 cap. So the Brown have a hill to climb here against Catty Whampus here in the final. They only have 3 minutes in which to do it, maybe less. And Catty Whampus will be keen to keep the disc, slow the game down, as it's only a narrow window remaining for the Browns to do anything with this game. Open side there, Dylan get the force on. Across now, John Simpson takes his time. Little high release to Tristan Millington, and that is the hooter. I'm afraid I was a minute out. The game will end, I'm afraid, at the end of this point, I believe, not possession. We'll find out in a minute. Tris Millington for Catty Whampus at the back. Gives it, goes up the line. There is a hammer over to the open side, or to a lot of space over here, and it's received. They've gained some yards. Tris Millington back in the middle. Tempted. And back up the line there with the overhead. And a scuba across field to reset the clock. A little knife, and it does get brought down quite impressively, avoiding contact to his credit by leaping over Eric Fitton. And I'm afraid that closes the Browns campaign at COWIQ. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry that it wasn't the result that we were hoping for. But you know, there was a lot of good ultimate there as well. I don't think it was the best ultimate from the Brown, who I've seen some really quality stuff from this weekend. But it was always going to be tough to the final. And the final score is 13-8 to Catty Whampus, who secure the only Nationals space. Thanks for joining, guys. I'm going to go gargle something.
I'm getting the football.
Yeah, we're definitely getting it.